Alright, so in this lesson, I'm going to be telling you how to implement images, or pictures in another word, and different types of videos and GIFs into your website. Now, the great thing about videos and pictures is they add like a pop to your website. No website wants to be plain and it just has text. You need something to pop, so you want to use images. So it's relatively actually easy to implement images and pictures into your website. So let's first go to Google and let's find a picture that we want to put on our website. So let's go over here. Now let's type in dogs. And let's put on some images. Alright, so we got this dog over here that we want to put on our website. So let's go and view this image. Now we're going to save this image. And where we want to save it is essential, because we want to save it in the same folder as the rest of our files. So we're going to go to our desktop and we're going to find our web developer course folder. Now we're just going to put the dog over here. So we're going to rename this to dog, so it's easier for us to remember. So we're going to save this. And the key thing you need to remember here is this extension right here. So we see it's dog.jpg. Now you need to remember what this extension is, because it's going to be essential when we're putting it in that the code recognizes what type of format your file is in. Because if you write it wrong and you write dog.png, when it's in JPG, it's not going to show a picture. So now let's go ahead and put this picture into our code. So let's open up Komodo and let's just open up a template. So let's go to new, file from template, HTML5. Let's just block this code right here. And then let's type in pictures and let's open that and add the extension, and we're good to go. So let's quickly just put in that meta charset that we have on copy. So we're good. So now in the body, now images, just like everything else, has a tag. So it's going to be bracket img bracket. Now image is a standalone tag, like one of those line breaks and horizontal rules, because we don't need to put information between image. It's just by itself. So the key thing when we want to put an image in here is we need to identify where this image is located. And we do that by using an attribute in the image tag. Now we can do this by putting a space after image and putting the attribute src. Now that will tell us the source of where the image is. So we're going to do set src equals, and in quotation marks, we want to write the file name. Now this is going to be, we're going to go to our folder. So whether it's a new folder or a new Finder window or whatever it is, you want to go to that file that has your web developer course in it. Now you want to go in there and find that picture. Now you want to write exactly that file name, dog.jpg, exactly that, into the src. So we're going to put dog.jpg, close off the quotation marks, and that's it. Standalone tag. You don't have to put another closing tag. That's it. And now you just put a picture in your website. So let's go ahead and save this, and let's go ahead and view this into Chrome. So remember the selection for the file, and let's preview it. So there we go. We just put a picture onto our website of the dog. Now the picture is a little big, so I want to make this dog a little bit smaller. So we can do this by adding another attribute. Now, one of the many things with attributes is you can set their height and their width. And we can do that with the attribute height and width. So let's start off with the width. So we're going to type in width equals, and now we want to specify the size of the width. Now I typically like to use pixels, but sometimes you can even use M units, which are basically the size of the current font that you're using. But to make it easier, we're going to go with pixels because that's the normal way that we interact with pictures, is through pixels. So let's go ahead and make this a little bit smaller. So we'll make the width 200 pixels. So we're going to close that off with a quotation mark. Now, when we change the width to 200 pixels, there's a ratio that this picture of the dog has. It has a certain amount of pixels for the width and has a certain amount of pixels for the height, and it will use a ratio of that. So when we set it 200 pixels for the width, it will change the height to whatever ratio it needs to be. For example, let's say that the width originally for the picture is 1000 pixels wide, and the height was 500. Now, if we go back to the HTML and we change the width to 500, which is half of the original width, then it will automatically change the height to half of its height to 250 pixels. So it'll do that same thing. It'll maintain a ratio between the height and width of the pixels. So let me go back to that Komodo. And right there, we changed width to 200 pixels. So it will keep the aspect ratio of the 200 pixels and it will change the height accordingly. So let's go ahead and save that. And let's go ahead and look at it again. So there we go. We made our picture smaller. Now it stayed in that same ratio, width to height, so that nothing looks stretched out, nothing looks wrong, everything looks perfect. Now if we did want to stretch it out, we could do that. All we have to do is we have to add an attribute, so height. So let's make height 500 pixels. Now that's going to stretch our image by a lot, and it's going to make it taller. So let's see how that looks like. So we'll save that, and we'll go over here and refresh it. So as you can see, we stretched this picture out 500 pixels, which is not the usual aspect ratio that it likes to maintain. So now this dog looks a little bit stretched out. Okay, maybe a little bit's like an understatement. A lot, basically. So that's one way you can manipulate pictures, and that is it. That's all you really need to know for pictures. So let's say we have this picture, and we want it to have a link to it. Like for example, when you're on company web pages, if you click the logo, usually it'll take you to a home page or something like that. So let's do the same thing here. Let's manipulate this. So we have a picture already here. Now what can we do to make this picture link to something? Well, we already know a tag from previous lessons. We can make an anchor tag inside this picture. So let's first erase this picture, because we're going to put this in the replacement of the text that we want to hide the URL with. So let's delete this entire image tag. Now let's make a link. So we're going to use the anchor tag, which is bracket A, href equals http://www.google.com, and then quotation mark, and then save. So let's save that now, and let's try rerunning that page again. So let's go back. Let's refresh. Now let's try clicking on this. And now by clicking on this, we are directed right back to google.com. So just another caveat, remember to put HTTP when you want to refer to an actual link. So now you know how to use images in your website. Thank you for watching, and stay tuned for the next lesson.